cell phones, you want to use those for photography, that's a great option as well. But just still, even with this size of a group, just show respect to one another. Kindly turn the ringer of the phone to vibrate or switch it off so it doesn't conflict with anyone else trying to get something out of the experience. Now, this here, our martini room, this is one of 6 rooms third class had for their public use. Now on my tours, I'll throw still little drops of history because I'll still get questions. It may not pertain to the hauntings, but I'm not one of those tour guides. I'm not going to glare at you if you ask me a historical question on this tour. So all questions are welcome when you're with me. But it was in this very room back in 1989, Property Services was getting this area ready for a VIP event. The crew, the ladies had finished, we're finishing up trying to get all the tables prepped and decorated. But they kept noticing at that far side, a lady sitting in a chair near the portals, just looking about the room. No big whoop, sometimes these rooms are open. And if we can, we will do our best to allow guests to come in, hang out for a bit, and just really enjoy the structure and history of these various locations. So they just let that woman be. 10 minutes went by, and a third woman from Property Services comes in. Notices that the woman who was sitting in that chair prior to her leaving on her lunch was still there when she returned. So she comes over here and tells her crew, this room really needs to be finished for tonight's event. We really need to ask this lady to leave. So they stood up, they turned to address her to see she was finishing disappearing in front of all 3 of them. So needless to say, it made for a very interesting work report to give at the end of their workday. Now, that's just the whole thing of what these tours are about. That's why it's called Haunted Encounters. It's the stories of all the encounters of the hauntings that people have experienced, whether they were a former passenger, troop member, guest on a hotel, or a crew member who's worked throughout her whole entire varied career. Now, there's people that sometimes get bummed out with these tours because they felt, well, nothing jumped out of a wall or popped up to the floor. No, that's not going to happen. But you may experience that if you do come back for Dark Harbor, which ends this month. And a lot of people think that things happen in the most well-lit of areas, or not most of the darkest, rather, reaches of the ship. But no, it's also in the most well-lit areas. Now, down at this corridor here, there's a room called the Lusitania Room, right down in this hallway here and to the right. Now, that room was actually our attractions office 5 years ago. Back in November 2012, I was turning in my walkie-talkie after an evening of giving tours, setting that walkie-talkie into the charger out of my side view, just like I could see this post here. Someone in a uniform just leaned out of my manager's doorway and leaned back in. Well, thinking that it was a crew member who was turning in paperwork, looked inside my manager's office. There was no one in there. Anyone else would have freaked out and ran off the ship screaming. But for myself, it only reminded me of what used to occur where our offices were once located. At the very stern of the ship above the 4D theater. This was reported to me by many former and current supervisors, managers, and crew. They walked by this framed photograph, see the reflection of someone in a uniform just standing a few feet behind them. They'd turn around, they'd find no one there. So we have no idea who this person could be. It could be the many troop members who sailed on board during World War II as a troop ship. Could have been a first-class officer, William Stark, who died accidentally drinking techchloride acid. Now, what had happened was he had a very long day. He was exhausted. He was also suffering a really bad cold, so he couldn't smell anything. So he goes up to his cabin to make a nightcap. However, he was so exhausted, he thought he had grabbed a gin bottle when he was actually cleaning through it. Now, luckily for myself, when I have long days on board here, I know what Diet Pepsi looks like. So he made his drink, took a gulp, felt the sensation when he realized what he had done. Just laughed off with the crew, saying, I'm going to be sick for a couple of days. But his condition worsened so severely, they had to transport him off the ship. He died 2 days later. Could also be the many captains who sailed the Queen Mary, from Edgar Britton on that maiden voyage in '36, to J. Treasure Jones on that final voyage in '67. To this day, We have no idea who this mysterious man in uniform is that roams throughout these decks. So folks, I'm going to try a different route. Let's go ahead and go out this way.
Men det var her, der begyndte bare sådan lidt, som nogen blev trækket ned. Så er det godt. Pludselig jeg kan se hans afrende meget til orange. Yeah.
Okay, so everyone, the key to climbing up this way. Just take your time. This is probably the steepest set of stairs you'll have on this tour. But still take your time.
Og det var først efter den skole, så jeg faktisk. Godt. Det freakede mig lidt ud, jeg kunne mærke.
Det lyder ligesom en, der lægger en hånd.
Ja, men du er ligesom med en finger.
Now these are original staircases. This was for our third class passengers. But see those knobs, on a side note, held a special function. It kept children from sliding down them.
Oh.
It still did not stop many of them. They would actually go into their rooms and get their pillows. So everyone, as we turn this corner here onto this corridor, yes, this is a hotel corridor, but right along here, 12 years ago, that doorway we came out of, a security guard was making her round. She comes out that doorway to see a little girl standing in the corridor by herself. This was very late at night. Well, thinking that this little girl may have stepped out of her room and had accidentally gotten herself locked out, she slowly approaches the child, as to not scare her so she may be of assistance. Well, this little girl turned to the security guard and lifted up her arms as if she wanted to be picked up. As that security guard got closer, that little girl disappeared. Needless to say, that security guard no longer works here. Well, she loved her job, but she had her fill of these crazy late night security shifts. So she transferred to parking until she moved on to other things. Now, one question I'm always asked, whether I'm doing historical tours or haunted tours, why the sloping from bow to stern? Well, if the decking was straight across, it would have eventually buckled due to the roughness of the Atlantic. This decking that we're on right now, sheer to deck, a banana-shaped style of decking designed to go along with the waves of the Atlantic. Now, what does this have to do with your haunted encounters tour? Well, as many times as I've been asked this question, no, The Shining was not filmed on board here.
Little fisk. Oh wow.
We always getting like this.
The timing,
Hvad? Oh yeah.
the time, we're just going to cut through what we're down.
Nej, det gør man jo ikke.
Messy.
Prøv lidt.
You need to respect the
All right, big dog, leave me alone.
You need to respect the other.
I always respect the elders. I love the elders. Without the elders, we wouldn't be here.
And don't you forget it.
Det er den længste.
Men det er sådan helt så siger det.
Oh, ja.
Det er rigtig godt.
Yes, jeg tror jeg også næsten gør. Maybe.
Men så kan vi ikke sejle nogen steder.
Nej.
Det var meget sådan, hvis vi gjorde.
Oh yeah. Maybe one day.
Ja.
Hvad?
Købssalgsøvelse.
Yes.
Okay. So folks, along this side of the deck now, heading towards the stern, you notice that there's those side corridors. Well, several years ago, as a family was enjoying their vacation on board with us, on one of these corridors, a family was staying on board, but across that mini hall, this beautiful fragrance, this very unique floral fragrance they couldn't pinpoint. The best way to describe it was vintage. So the father decided to take an evening stroll. He's making his way around the ship, enjoying a nice stroll to himself. But he decides to walk up to the front desk as he got a little closer and asked the desk clerk, "Who's the lady staying on board with us? There's this beautiful, unique floral fragrance. This is maybe something I might want to get for my wife." And the front desk clerk looked at him, puzzled, and said, "Sir, there's no one staying on board across from me." Well, he just kind of shook his head, shrugged it off, and continued his evening stroll. He gets back down to the stern part of the deck, makes his way back up, and then sees this woman in this beautiful gown just strolling along and turning down the corridor they're staying in. Well, of course, he picks up the pace to try to catch up to her, only to discover when he gets to his corridor there was no one there. And it was that time of the evening, anyone would have been able to easily have heard her door open and close. Right, so what?
Because really it's a good one.
Now folks, I use this a lot for many tours. I've been using it for the last couple of years for my history tours, but the more I keep thinking about it, walking along the corridors, people get a weird feeling whenever any of these corridors throughout the hotel. Passing this, I see the picture, not only of them, but some other people that I think that come to mind. Because not only is Queen Mary so rich in history, she was very rich with the many celebrities who sailed on board. Not only could we be walking in their footsteps, but they can be walking throughout the ship at any given moment, still strolling around to this day. Could be the likes of the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, Bob Hope and his wife Dolores. They sailed on board with us quite a few times, most notably September 3rd, 1939, when war broke out in Europe. They were among 2,332 passengers. Well, Bob Hope, seeing the uneasiness, the worry and concern on all their faces, it was up in the Queen's Salon on that very stage. He gave a special performance in hopes of lifting their spirits. That's why I always get a special feeling every time I'm in there. So much has gone on, so many wonderful memories and moments, I'm sure, during many of those voyages. And they're also on that final voyage, he and Dolores, in 1967 with an up-and-coming new star by the name of Lynn Redgrave. You could also be walking in the footsteps of the great actress of that time, and they could be strolling throughout here to this day. Errol Flynn, Spencer Tracy, Fred Astaire, Clark Gable or Cary Grant, or many of the grand actresses can still be strolling through many parts of the ship. Marlene Dietrich, Greta Garbo, Gloria Swanson, maybe even Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor. Or quite possibly, the great entertainer Liberace. He sailed on board with us quite a few times throughout the career of the Queen Mary, and he was one of the most humbling of passengers one could ever meet, because he did not care what class she stayed in, for he was always kind, considerate, and friendly to everybody on board. He was even known to give concerts to third class and third class passengers only. First and second, not invited to attend. Right this way.
Det er gavmildt.
What?
Det er gavmildt.
Oh yeah.
Det ser man ikke meget af.
No, not today anymore. Har du set det donner, Bonnie? Ja.
Hvad siger du?
Det var håndtag på døren. Det var sådan marmor. Yes, det var så meget. The place?
Yes.
Hvad place?
Anden.
Okay. Så det hyggeligt ud.
Hvad siger du?
Om det så hyggeligt ud.
Jo, det gør det faktisk. Der var folk, der også.
Look at the corridors. Damn. And the wallpaper.
Ja.
Okay, folks, just enter right inside to your left. Just watch your step.
Maybe. Oh, it's cold.
So folks, this area that we're about ready to enter into, and hopefully it's a little bit cooler than the last tour, the isolation ward. Now, the isolation ward was basically our main medical facility. It was also our hospital, our surgical ward. And further below, that morgue or cold storage, and other facilities as well. Now, in the 7 years that I've been doing all these various tours of history and haunting tours, this is still my least favorite of areas. But some people don't feel anything in here. I mean, they feel, some people can walk through a corridor and be freaked out. It's just, everybody's affected differently. I've had many guests on tours also say that they felt the same thing, such as an overall uneasy feeling, very uncomfortable, confined, maybe even just a great suffering. In fact, there's a room up here, I'll tell you this in a little while, that's up here and to the left that shows you the bunks of how the sleeping accommodations were set up for those patients. I've had many guests, not only on the Paranormal Shipwalk Tour, but our family edition, Haunted Encounters, that you're on today. Walk in there and feel great sadness. I've even had guests on the verge of tears. For some reason, people experience a strange heavy energy in that location. So folks, as we make our way inside, just watch your step. On this tour, there's going to be some areas that the thresholds are raised.
Hvad er det her?
Hvad? Hvad siger du for mig?
I just need my crystals.
I need my crystals. White sage after.
So as hard as it is, I'm going to say this really fast. Throughout the whole career of the Queen Mary, we've had well over 50 known reported deaths. This would have been anything from slips, falls, natural causes, even hypoglycemia. They did not know at the time you gave them a candy bar, they feel better. Right up over here is a listing of those decibel passengers and crew. This is an opportunity for you yourselves to be able to walk through, heat permitted, however long you want to take it, but take as many photos, check the exhibits throughout. Even this area here that shows you exactly in the diagram where that morgue or that cold storage was located. So I'll give you about 5 minutes to do so if you'd like. And then also in that smaller corridor, that blue sign, the listing of our stowaways. There are actually some known reported deaths in that location as well. The reason why that is in this room is if you were caught as a stowaway, you spent the rest of your voyage cleaning the isolation wards out to earn your keep until you arrived at your designated location and then had to deal with whatever court hearings were to take place. So I'll give you a few moments and then we'll meet each other right over where the steps are located.
Let's see. Lost overboard.
Pictures.
Kisses.
Right.
It's all full from gangway.
Oh.
First in watertight door.
That's a famous one. That should be really haunted.
Godt, hvis man bliver smadret den ind.
What was his name?
Oh, that is Danish. Det var Danish. Pedder.
Pedder. Oh, you Pedder. Fireman. Godt nok super. Vi var sådan så gå det andet sted hen. Hvor var det henne? Okay.
Vessel from ship.
Fatal from ship.
Newborn.
Newborn. Oh, that's
Infant. Seriously.
Oh. Der. Det er der. Hvor var det henne? Der var noget andet også.
Det var her.
Åh, ja. Men der er en meget anderledes feeling her.
Ja, den er meget heavy.
Ja. Det er utrolig meget. Skal vi lige gå ind og kigge på det?
Ja, det skal det.
Det er John, ikke?
There should only be a second here.
Oh no. Jeg tænkte, der er virkelig nogen, der har været syge her. Altså hvis det har været så varmt, altså normalt ikke. Damn.
Vi er døde af dem. Jeg kan godt forstå, at de kommer så.
No, exactly.
I consider kind of drawn to this, but when we get down to the next level, the key of climbing no, actually this behind here, built at the previous school used, is part of the maze route for Dark Harbor. But when Dark Harbor is not here, it is a storage facility for the needs of the Queen Mary. If you do get the opportunity to come back before it ends at the end of this month, walking through that area, I am more creeped out just doing that even before somebody jumps out to scare me. For me, it's not the decorations, it's not the eerie music or lighting, it's just walking through there. It's just such a combined feeling. It just still gives me the creeps even after 7 years.
Jeg tror, han er død.
At hvad?
Jeg tror, han er død. Prøv at lægge mig til. Prøv at lægge mig til, hvor han snakker så meget.
Ja, og med hænder også. Ja. Okay.
Så læg mig til.
Okay.
Oh, air.
And then we're going to make our way down to that tile flooring. Just stay clear of the employee door.
Vi skal så nok prøve at være her engang. Staying at it. You can take all your crystals with you. You're going to sleep with the white set.
I'm going to get the holy Bible.
You the holy Bible. Oh, delight. How charming.
Okay, so what we're standing on, if any of you have taken the history tour earlier today, this is the original cork order bowling flooring of the Queen Mary.
Oh.
What you're standing on is dating back to the 1930s, and if it was mentioned to you, this was all throughout the ship as a way known to sometimes break over on the promenade and getting everything wet. So they designed this flooring to be slip resistant to everyone on board. Now, this is where I'm going to also talk to you about, and that light's really helping out the stories too.
Oh yeah.
Is talking about Our Lady in White. If you're any sort of historical landmark or building, there's always a Lady in White present. In the case of the Queen Mary, she was first spotted in our Queen Salon, dancing around this piano. Well, that piano was transferred to the bar up at Sir Winston's, and after a while, sightings of her began to appear all throughout Sir Winston's. But what could be her connection with us? Maybe her wedding day on board? Or maybe a grand night of dancing on any given voyage? Someone had once made a twisted analogy. If someone were to push that piano overboard, would the Lady in White follow closely behind? Is the connection with that piano that strong that she would follow it wherever it would go? She's been known to be spotted along here, floating along, appearing in photos going right to that wall. If you look carefully, you could actually see what was once a doorway. That could have been a room. That could have also been a woman's lounge. All of these rooms have been reconverted into the more accommodating hotel rooms that you see and read about. But for some reason, she's made her appearance known here also. And if you want to take a photo or two as we make our way down this corridor, go right ahead and do so.
Oh yes, I am on it.
Hvis jeg tænker, så kunne jeg stille billeder derfra.
Yes, exactly. 27 minutter.
Så er det en halv time igen.
Yes.
Jeg synes, der var lidt spooky.
Yeah. Not yet.
All the bad things.
Det kommer an på, om vi får lov til at komme til det pool area. Men det tror jeg ikke.
Hvis ikke, så må jeg spørge ham om til historien om det.
Yes. Good idea. Nej, 444. Nu ser flere gange.
Jo, det er den der rollesvar. Det gør jeg ifølge en ret her.
Må du også gøre.
Jeg hader at være på ski, fordi jeg føler altid, det ud af det.
Er det gynger? I had the same.
Og det hver gang, det er uanset hvilket ski vi er på.
Det er så lidt weird.
Det er sjovt, at jeg skal på det der krydstogt med min bror.
Yes.
Kommer til at blive nødt til.
That's gonna be fun.
Vi ser det hele, faktisk.
Yeah, exactly.
Det skal meget godt.
Yeah.
Det bliver man ligesom dejligt igennem. Hvis man kan se både ting samtidig.
Ja, nemlig. Ellers så kan der alle andre ting og
Hvad siger du?
hvis jeg alle andre steder og
Ja.
So folks, this room right here, B343, I really don't know what may have occurred here during her voyages, as today this is now used as just a meeting area for managers, or just a meeting area in general. But when this was an office several years ago, a lady came in to start her workday bright and early. It was 6 in the morning because she was so piled up like crazy with paperwork. She came in extra early to get everything set up for her and her staff. So she's getting it all together and making coffee, but it's feeling like there's somebody else in the room with her. But then she just shakes it off, thinking that, okay, well, it's just 6 in the morning, maybe I'm just not awake yet. So she continues on, has everything lined up on her desk, she begins her workday. But then she's feeling this constant chill hovering around her. So she goes to check the temperature. As she's discovering it's a nice, cozy 72 degrees, from behind her, she hears all of her papers being knocked off the desk and onto the floor. So she grabs her keys, her purse, and makes a quick exit, and waits for the rest of her staff to come on board and join her.
I would do the same.
Yep. Der er noget mod, hvis man skulle have fået det, hvor man går.
No. Det vil vi bare gøre, hvis det er, vi står der.
Jeg siger, hvis jeg render bare på en fartfod overalt. Det må du også prøve.
Back to nature.
Exactly.
It's nice they kept this open, so cool.
Oh yeah.
So folks, since it's just a small group, we could actually fit in here so you can get a better view of it. The large groups, it makes it a bit of a challenge. But where we are at right now, you've seen the listings of those desks. 2 of these known desks, if you want to speak, oh, we got it. You've seen the listings of those desks in the isolation ward. 2 of these known desks were at an area called the Deadly Staircase, which is the area we are at right now. This would have been all up in 3rd class. Now, there's many who assume 3rd class was just crammed down below like Titanic, but Cunard did something a little different. He determined class by how smooth the ride was to be. So every time you're in the center of the ship, from top to bottom today, it was always 1st class, so you got that smooth ride. Second at the stern, it's okay, but you had to deal with the noise vibrations of the engines. Well, 3rd class, you're up here at the bow. You have to deal with all the rising and the falling. So if you're climbing up these steps, not paying attention or holding onto the railing, and the Queen Mary were to suddenly pitch up, you easily lose your balance. Come tumbling down those steps and smacking your head on the original cork-quarter bullion flooring. Underneath that, solid steel, breaking your neck, cracking your skull open and dying. 2 known deaths because of this location. Now, it has been noted that when people have taken photos of this area, and I've seen many of those photos in my time here, every so often a shadowy figure has appeared in those photos. So yes, I think with the size of the group, we're doing excellent time. So if you want to take some time for some photos, go right ahead.
Okay, let's try this. Okay. Okay.
Japan facilities.
Yes. Husk blitz, ellers så fanger du ikke noget.
Okay.
No. Jeg tager bare billeder af alt lige nu. du klar? Yes.
Now, folks, a lot of people have always been intrigued when they come to this part of the ship about the third class entry. So what is the whole story behind it? I'll tell you. Behind that, it's just a storage facility for the gift shops up on Promenade Deck. But it has been noted that when people stayed on either corridor or B deck here, from next door to them to just around this whole section of this deck, they would hear either the sounds of a child's laughter or a baby crying. Thinking that it's a couple who brought their little ones on board, they just brush it off thinking, okay, well, maybe, maybe it's a couple with their little ones on board. I'll just have to make do with tonight's sleep. But then they discovered that that room in question was either empty the whole time they were here. Or there was a couple on board, but with no little ones with them. Right this way.
Det må være shield off på grund af alt det der Halloween, eller
Hvilken noget?
og det er, du ved godt, shield off.
Oh, yes.
Now, folks, this area here, the one without the sign on the door, is referred to as pretty much permanent reconstruction. I've seen many people stand around here at night, sometimes even camped out in front of this doorway. Well, this is the famous B340, the most haunted room on board the ship.